One of our own generals, General McChrystal, has said that we have shot an amazing number of people who are not threats. This is the sort of thing you set up like a roadblock. I first heard about this, a series of articles, I believe it was called The Killer Elite. There was a mini-series thing called Generation Kill based on it. And the article was written by a guy who was embedded with the military, and it was, writing what it was like, and so forth. They set up roadblocks at one point so no one could leave like this whatever city, except it wasn't clear that people in the city understood that there was a roadblock, because it wasn't just like a bunch of concrete, like they just made a wall or something. No, there was a bunch of soldiers standing around, and if someone approaches, first you fire into the air, and if they keep approaching, then you shoot them. Well, people driving, and there's shooting in the air. What does that mean? Should I stop? Should I go? Are they shooting at someone behind me? I don't know. It's not as if we had like 1,001 Arabic translators just shouting out, okay, everyone, please slow down. Particularly when someone tries to leave the city in the middle of the night or whatever. And over and over and over and over again, we blow the crap out of some car, and it turns out to be full of civilians. People who just wanted to get out of the city and get to the countryside where hopefully they wouldn't get shot. Ironically. Tens of thousands have died over there because of our war. I don't think we kill them on purpose. I don't think it's genocide or something, but it's incredible negligence. It's truly ridiculous and horrifying. And it keeps happening. An organization called The Real News did an interview with a conscientious objector from the military, who was in the same, group, whatever the name was, of the WikiLeaks video. He wasn't there at the time, you see, but he was in the same, brigade or whatever the term is. I forget the term. And he said the stuff you see in the video is, pretty much what happens in war. In this war, anyway. We keep shooting people, and we think, well, that guy might have a gun. We shoot him. There have been veterans who've reported on drop weapons. You know what that is? That's, you carry around a spare weapon, sort of. Or you have it in the back somewhere in some supply truck, whatever. And if you shoot someone who turns out to have been unarmed, you grab a drop weapon, you throw it by the corpse, make it look like he was armed. I'm sure someone will say, nonsense, this is conspiracy theory, this is... Well, check the links. I'm well enough convinced that we're doing terrible things, even if one or two details happen to be wrong. Our sins are widespread and interconnected. By the way, we have another war going on in Pakistan. We keep dropping bombs on them, which also kill civilians. And Obama has this thing. He said, we're going to change the strategy for Afghanistan, and we're going to kill less civilians now. We're going to have a greater priority on not killing civilians, which is great. And then we end up killing them again somehow because we're apparently not putting enough effort into that. I mean, it's really terrible when we cover it up. Even in the absolute fog of war, and you shoot someone on accident, you could at least admit after the fact, 3 days later or whatever, and just, by the way, media, hey, we killed someone on accident. That would be the honest and honorable thing to do. We don't do that. The guy I was talking about earlier, who was interviewed by The Real News, talked about the training he went through. How they had marching, things that they would say while they marched. And it dehumanized Arabs, Iraqis or Afghanis. I may have mixed it up by the way at some point, whether I said this was Iraq or Afghanistan. Things have happened in both countries. But there's one of these things that you say. I think it was. I went down to the market where all the women shop. I took out my machete and I started to chop. I went to the schoolyard where all the children play. I took out my machine gun and started to spray. You can look up the actual video. I probably have a link to it. And these little rhymes, whatever, wouldn't mean anything on their own. But in the context of people getting killed, it's horrifying. Maybe we're training people on purpose to not care. He said, again, this same guy said that orders went up that whenever a roadside bomb went off, they were to shoot anyone in the immediate area, with the idea that they might shoot, the guy who set off the bomb. Of course, other people might just be standing in the area. There was one time where there were, children. And then, dust comes up or whatever from the bomb and so forth. And he's ordered to shoot, and he refused. Last thing I saw was there were children out there. And yet most of the other people on the scene with guns started shooting. An absolute callous disregard for civilian life. You know what it does? It inspires terrorism. The more you kill innocent people, the more you convince them that America is some sort of evil empire. And in fact, the more you kill innocent civilians, the more we become an evil empire. And that inspires terrorists to come and kill us. And by the way, what is a terrorist? I would put that a terrorist has to be someone who attacks civilians. Or at least that's the big form of terrorism we, started thinking of after 9/11. That was a terrible horror of it. They didn't, attack a warship or something, which traditionally, soldiers are allowed to attack each other, but not civilians, is the idea. No, they attack random, innocent, unarmed people. That's terrible, right? There's a lot of these so-called terrorists in Iraq and Afghanistan who are not with Al-Qaeda, who are, entirely different groups and whatever, who are attacking the soldiers because we're occupying their country. And, oh yeah, we are occupying their country. And, oh yeah, we do shoot a lot of innocent people. And, oh yeah, we abduct people and send them to jail forever without any trials. Holy frick. Our country sins. And the media doesn't do a very good job of this all, by the way, covering it. Media bows to authority far too often. Just acts as a spokesperson, just repeating what someone else has said. There's absolutely no need for that anymore. We have an internet now. Anyone wants to say something, if a politician wants to just say something, to issue a press release, he can do that all by himself. The whole point of media is to ask the questions, hard-hitting questions, to investigate, to find stuff out. But there's not been nearly enough of that. And then, of course, it comes down to the people and our apathy towards the whole thing. The metaphor of boiling frog, I'm sure you've heard, right? It's not actually true, but supposedly a frog is put in water and you slowly turn up the temperature very slowly. It will eventually die because the temperature changes so slowly it doesn't realize what's been happening. Again, not physically, literally true with frogs, but metaphorically with people. There's a lot to be said for that.